Hello, this is RJ Wellington, bringing you one more metaphysical pearl. In this video, we'll share information about a topic that is rather confusing to many people, in a way that I'm sure you will understand it more clearly once and for all. And why is this topic so confusing? Most probably because many people who write or make videos about it have no practical experience with it, period. They have read about it or heard from someone else's experience, but in many cases themselves have no practical experience with these stages of consciousness we'll be talking about. It is indeed very hard, for example, to teach someone how to swim if you yourself don't know how to swim, right? It is pretty much like the blind guiding the blind. So, what is this topic that is so misunderstood by many people and actually stops them in their tracks? It is about the terms awakening, enlightenment, and self-realization or ascension. Do you know what each of these terms mean, truly? If you do, you are among a very few, a selected group who is experiencing those states, and you don't even have to go any further in this video. Go watch something else. But if you have any doubt or curiosity about what awakening, enlightenment, and ascension mean, pay close attention. I'm sure you will enjoy this, and when you finish watching, you will have a higher level of understanding, more understanding than many self-proclaimed spiritual people. Just because that is my intention for every piece of information I source from infinity, from a higher self, to expand your consciousness, to open your mind and help you get rid of false concepts or misguiding information. In the so-called New Age or spiritual circles, these terms are often interchangeable. Some people think that awakening is the same as enlightenment or ascension, but in reality they are gradual levels of expanded consciousness. They are separate levels of frequencies you can operate from at any time. And the sad truth is, the vast majority of seekers spend a lifetime in search of these states, usually looking at it as if it was something hard, or at least very difficult to accomplish. Oh, this is just for masters, some will say. And then comes some pseudo-spiritual teachings that impose many almost impossible conditions for someone to reach these states. Some even go so far as saying that you can only experience these dimensions when you drop your physical body or when you die. Many good-intended people think, no, they actually believe, that to reach these states you must go through penances, sacrifices, rituals, processes, finding a guru in a remote Himalaya mountain, and that it might take many years of learning and meditating. And therefore they keep on pushing it further and further away into an illusory future that will come one day. But it never comes. It is all happening in the now. Only in the now can you experience any of those states, by the way. The trap of so-called spirituality is a construct in the matrix to keep you believing that you are not good enough to reach these states. And each and any condition you impose keeps you in the illusion of being stuck, which brings frustration and desperation, eventually even disbelief and fear. Oh my God, someone may say, I'm getting old, the years are passing by, I have read so many books, watched so many videos, attended so many workshops and retreats, but I'm not one step closer to feeling any more enlightened or awakened than when I started. Does it sound familiar to some of you? Well, don't worry, you are just not getting the right information, or you might be getting only partial information. In a previous video, I told you that we are operating under a new energy, And that is why you are having access to this straight path right now. Because we know your potential and how easy expanding your consciousness could be if you dropped all the BS and conditions that were imposed to you by the matrix of limiting beliefs. I promise you, you could awaken right now. You could reach enlightenment right now. You could reach ascension right now if you dropped all the spiritual BS and treated metaphysics as a science, which can be as precise as mathematics. Now you have a choice. The ball is in your corner. It has always been. You can decide to follow or keep on walking on the difficult path of processing past traumas, clearing your karma, activating your DNA, speeding up your chakras, surrendering, etc., 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 ad nauseum. Or you can decide to drop the BS and define how you want to have your cake and eat it too. Sounds exciting? That's how life should be. Life should be exciting and effortless. Now, you may understand why people like me, the true metaphysicists, have been feared, hated, persecuted, and even murdered in the past, just because what we said was a menace to the matrix system that wants for you to be enslaved, period. But now, in the new energy that we have created, we cannot be touched anymore. The information is in the open for those who have the eyes to see and ears to hear. Those who wish to go truly deep into this path. So, let's talk about these experiences, usually considered spiritual, from a scientific or metaphysical point of view. The first myth I wish to burst is, you don't have to be spiritual to experience these levels. Actually, the less entrapped you are by ritualism, superstition, and conditions, the easier it is to free your mind. I have to remind you all, over and over again, that I'm in no way against any system, any school of thought, any religion or spiritual path. I know that there is information for all levels of consciousness. And all this information might be important, even essential for us in some moment of our lives. However, I assume that if you are listening to this message right now, it is because you are ready for it. You are ready for this level, that's all. If you weren't, you wouldn't even be here now listening to me. Okay? So again, I'm not implying spirituality when I mention these 3 stages of enlightenment. There are people from all walks of life reaching these states right now, as we speak. Business people, performers, housewives, people who have never stepped into a church or an ashram. You don't have to. In transformation dynamics, we share the methods and processes for people to master these stages without any tie to any specific philosophy or way of life. All that you need to do is to have an open-minded. All that you need is an open-minded. And you need to have a true understanding what these stages really mean. So, let's talk about each stage in the correct order. The first stage we control when practicing a true system of metaphysics is awakening. And what is awakening? Pay attention. I say that is the first stage a metaphysicist controls. And why do I say that? Because there are many people living through this stage at this point. However, there is a difference in between experiencing it and controlling it. If you don't know how to swim, for example, you can still experience the water, but you don't have control over it, correct? Once you know how to swim, you can do much more. You can experience the water in a whole different way. If you are listening to this right now, there is a great possibility that you are experiencing some aspects of awakening right now. But this stage of consciousness can be either a blessing or a curse, if not managed properly. under your own higher self-guidance or the guidance of a metaphysical master. I will explain. The word awakening to us has an almost literal meaning. Yes, as if when you awaken from your night sleep. When dreaming, you seem to be in a totally different reality. Sometimes with familiar individuals participating, sometimes with characters you never met in the so-called real life. Mostly dreams are unconscious, which means you seem to have no control over them, like being a type of twilight zone where anything goes, no matter how strange it may be. Now, if you become lucid in that dream, you realize that you are dreaming, and then you acquire instant control or conscious control of the dream. In this state, you can do whatever you wish with your dream, like flying. You can walk through walls, you can transform your body instantly, defeat monsters, have any paranormal power you wish, etc. In the so-called waking daily life, when you think that you are not sleeping, the vast majority of people also live in a state called unconsciousness, or being subconsciously driven. That is, they live in a reactionary mode, responding to reality through their deeply ingrained beliefs and habits. That's what they are doing. They are like robots, they are like machines, just reacting to reality instead of controlling their reality. And this is a great limitation. In this state, people are totally immersed in an artificial reality. The Matrix, as we have seen in a previous video, in which they believe they have no power over, or that their powers are limited. Those who are awakening realize, first of all, that there is something beyond this three-dimensional matrix reality. That is the first stage of awakening, by the way. Pay attention. That is when you have this deep feeling that there is something beyond. Something that you might not be able to explain as of yet, but that you crave to know, to experience, to master. Does that sound familiar to you who are listening to me right now? And it feels like a rude awakening for most of us, a moment in which we are, at the same time, disappointed with the way things are in the world out there, but also hopeful to find a way out and live without the illusory limitations imposed by the system, or self-imposed, if you want to go deeper. Usually, the main characteristics of those going through this phase, or this stage called awakening, are inconformity. Inconformity with the way things are. Awakening people sometimes may ask themselves, am I the only person who thinks in this place, or the only person who sees from a different perspective? They see the insanity perpetuated by the machines that are enslaved to the system. And that attitude may lead them to another stage, rebellion, which is inconformity, being expressed emotionally, verbally, or even physically. And this is a dangerous phase, by the way, pay attention, in which some awakening beings, even and especially indigos, can fall over the other side and engage even in dangerous behaviors, usually against their own selves, and then they sabotage their own progress in this stage, or in this characteristic of rebellion that those people who are awakening experience. They might become antisocial, engage in drug or alcohol abuse, or being trapped by fanaticism through a specific cult, philosophy, or even political system. That's the way they think they can get out of the mess and express their rebellion. But that is a dangerous zone, to say the least. These people, including the indigos, are generally in conflict with so-called authorities. Make sense? They may be creative, sensitive, and empathetic, and have an urge to be self-sufficient. That is, they believe they can create their own means of prosperity. They believe that they can heal themselves and others. And they believe that they are able to reach higher and higher stages of consciousness. They just might not know how at this point. That's why they keep on searching the matrix for books, for courses, for workshops, videos, as if in an endless search for something. They are usually also attracted to certain types of movies, such as, of course, The Matrix, The Butterfly Effect, The 13th Floor, and series like Harry Potter, Star Wars, HBO's Westworld, or superhero movies. They all attracted to these things that give them that taste of another reality in which more things are possible. But their search sometimes can appear as an endless search if they keep on getting misleading or fragmented information from lay people, playing coaches, spiritual guides, or teachers. Some people start showing these awakening characteristics and cravings even at childhood. They may be the problem kids at school, the shy and apparently the antisocial ones, who may become the victims of bullies. But that is because their consciousness is one step beyond, comparing to the masses of hypnotized folks. Does that resonate with you? Well, having gone through these stages, I know more about you than you do at this point. Those who find the right guidance at this crucial point start turning inconformity and rebellion into awareness, therefore being, or at least starting to be, fully conscious. That is done by becoming aware of your reactions and eliminating the so-called subconscious mind. Yes, the so-called subconscious, as explained by traditional psychology, hypnotherapy, and even some branches of mental science, is also an illusory construct in the matrix. You are not enslaved by your subconscious mind, including all the traumas, fears, phobias, and past programming associated with it. The things that you believe hold you back, and that you have to go through sacrifice and clearing to eliminate, you are not enslaved by that. There is no such a thing. They do exist in a construct that you are living right now in the matrix. But why make life so hard? Why not take the straight path into awakening, enlightenment, and ascension? When you let go of the subconscious with transformation dynamic processes, for example, you automatically get rid of these previously controlling concepts of the past enslaving you, and you can start over with a clean slate. And that is an amazing, unexplainable feeling of freedom that you can feel once you live this, once you make this your lifestyle. So, to wrap up this point, realize that many people in this planet today are experiencing awakening, but most are not in conscious control of it yet. You are most probably one of them. So, for a definition, awakening is simply becoming aware of the illusory nature of the world and what you call quote-unquote reality, and realizing that there is something besides the smoke screen, a place where the true action takes place, a place that precedes reality, by the way. And when you realize the illusion fully, completely, You then expand your consciousness to the next stage, naturally, which is enlightenment. And enlightenment has also been a very misunderstood term, especially among New Age and spiritually inclined people. They just complicate things. It is usually associated with some form of spiritual engagement and path, just for those who have the discipline and patience to go through years, if not decades, of meditation, purification, spiritual practice, etc. However, enlightenment is also a natural stage for metaphysicists, a stage that can be achieved without following any specific path per se. A path or a specific philosophy may be a tool to help you reach this stage, but it is not the essential element at all. If you have the right process to do the job quicker and almost effortlessly, you can overcome many years of frustrating practice that will eventually take you to the same place that you can get by spending a few days or a few weeks or at most a few months. Enlightenment truly means just being in light of or knowing. The true meaning of the term illuminati is the enlightened ones, those who know it. And once you have reached enlightenment, you are an illuminati, regardless of belonging to any secret society or knowing secret handshakes or passwords to get into temples. A medical doctor, for example, is enlightened about the medical sciences, hopefully. A musician is enlightened about music theory, etc. In our case, the metaphysicist is enlightened about the nature of reality and consciousness. That's it. That's all there is to it. So, our definition of enlightenment, as it applies to metaphysics, the science of life, as I teach it, is: true enlightenment is realizing, knowing that reality is an illusion and that you are in charge. Simple, right? Let me repeat it. Pay attention. True enlightenment is realizing, knowing that reality is an illusion and that you are in charge. Once you are experiencing awakening, given that you are following the quote-unquote white rabbits that come about, like the videos I produce, and learning accelerated processes from a legitimate master, the natural development is to get to this point of being enlightened, which also means to operate from the frequency of absolute knowingness. As we go deeper into these stages of consciousness, it gets harder to find human words to describe them, to describe how you will feel. All I can tell you now is, as long as you have any limiting concept, which becomes a belief, which becomes knowing, you are one step away of being enlightened. Make sense? So, making it very clear, the formula for enlightenment is to embrace infinite consciousness and realize that you already are, potentially that you wish to be. When you know that for sure and work with the quadrant of being and the perfect self process, as I teach in Transformation Dynamics, you become more and more enlightened, until you reach a level in which your knowingness is so clear that you can control the illusion, including time itself, rather easily, because now you know you can. That is also living fourth dimensionally. And that is the first goal of Transformation Dynamics, to take you to this level. And having gone through that stage of enlightenment successfully, there is only one thing left: the cream on the cake, which is self-realization or ascension. Self-realization, as the name says, is the realization of yourself as infinite consciousness. It is the true understanding and living of the enlightening quote from Rumi: "You are not a drop in the ocean, you are the whole ocean contained in a drop." That is the state of the masters. That's why they are called ascended masters, simply because they have ascended beyond the illusion and realized themselves as infinite consciousness. This gives a master the power to change his or her reality as they see fit, as exemplified by the power of a shaman to turn into a jungle animal, the power of master yogis to levitate and bilocate, the power of a metaphysicist to heal, to source from infinite consciousness, to channel the right information at the right time, to rejuvenate and extend life, etc., etc. Whatever you fancy about is in that state of self-realization or ascension. That is because self-realization and ascension are the door to becoming whatever you want to be. And what is that but the power of God? Or, on a three-dimensional and fourth-dimensional scale, the power of a God over your own personal reality, which embraces a parallel, probable reality for everyone that you know and meet. Therefore, you will have the experience in 3D of even having power over the others, in the way you perceive them from your coordinate of time-space continuum. You'll be perceiving people in the illusory out there from your new frequency, and that's how you can even create transformation in other people's lives. Ascension is also associated with rejuvenation and physical immortality, which in itself is a subject that would take me hours to elaborate on. But it suffices to say that when ascended and self-realized, you communicate with your DNA and cells, the way it is potentially possible to all humans, as the master of your physical body. Yes, your physical body is inside your consciousness, not the other way around. So, rejuvenation and immortality are bonuses that you get from living above the time-space continuum and seeing time as it is, an illusion. Please refer to my video called Time and Infinity to have a broader explanation on this topic. Ascension also provides you the privilege of living in all dimensions simultaneously, from 3 dimension to 7th dimension. How? Well, dimensions are states of consciousness, not locations to reach. And as you expand your consciousness more and more, you ascend through the dimensions. And here is where most spiritually inclined people make another core mistake. They believe that each dimension is experienced separately. Not so. You can have your consciousness in 4th or 5th dimension and still maintain a body in 3D. And here's where all the fun comes in. Here is where you become so in love with your dream reality that you wish to enjoy it as you have never before. So much that you even eliminate the concept of having to die physically to become spiritual. Why? You can become it right now. Pay close attention to this. You are not a physical being having a spiritual experience. And you are not a spiritual being having a physical experience. You are infinite consciousness having any experience you wish to have. And you are doing it right now. Again, you are not a physical being having a spiritual experience. And you are not a spiritual being having a physical experience. You are infinite consciousness, has always been, will always be, having any experience you wish to have. Not something that you have to reach, that you have to accomplish, that you have to struggle for. You are doing it right now. You are living all dimensions of time and space. All possibilities and probabilities do exist for you now to finally reach that state that you wanted to reach. The difference between you and a master is the place from which you are having those experiences. We decided to have it generated by higher levels of consciousness, instead of the low levels most humans are trapped, or the matrix. That's it. There you have the three sought-after states or stages, plain and clearly. I hope it resonates with you. And please watch this video again and again until it sinks in deeper into your consciousness. Again, to wrap it up, awakening is becoming aware of the illusory nature of the world and what you call reality, and realizing that there is something besides the smoke screen, a place where the true action takes place. Enlightenment is realizing, knowing that reality is an illusion and that you are in charge. And self-realization or ascension is the realization of yourself as infinite, immortal, eternal consciousness, and living from that state every moment of time. Knowing that these stages do exist, and that it is possible to reach them in a much quicker manner, is the first step to start living through them. The next steps are pretty much dependent on which line of thought, philosophy, spiritual path, or metaphysical system you wish to use as permission tickets to self-realization. That's what they are. Some are easier, some will resonate better with you, and some may be the white rabbit that you have been waiting for. So pay attention to the information that comes to you. And if you feel the calling to go deeper into this amazing and fun exploration, feel free to contact me anytime. I will be glad to teach you through metaphysics. Thanks for watching, and may the force be with you always.